100 Weird Historical Photos That Will Surprise You. New York City, September 11th, 2001. Couple viewing. The Apollo 8 spacecraft launch, 1968. French Riviera, 1974. Dad. Let's take a picture that will make Mom angry, 1970. Cleaning women washing a crucifix, 1938. In 1969, when Black Americans were still prevented from swimming alongside whites, Mr. Rogers decided to invite Officer Clemens to join him and cool his feet in a pool. Mississippi's first interracial marriage, August 1970. On February 8, 1943, Nazis hung 17-year-old Lepa Radic for being a Yugoslavian partisan during World War II. When they asked her the names of her companions, she replied, "You will know them when they come to avenge me." Silent movie star Dolores Costello, 1928. Drew Barrymore's grandmother. One of the earliest photos showing a Native American with a wolf. Unlike the myths created about wolves by settlers, Indians maintained a close and respectful relationship with wolves. The liner Mauritania in dock before launching, 1906. Harlem grocer, standing in front of his store, 1937. Le Mont Saint-Michel, the medieval city on a rock in Normandy, France. The Benedictine Abbey was built here in 966 AD. Jewish prisoners after being liberated from a death train, 1945. Momcilo Gavrić, the youngest soldier of World War I, was 7 when his family was massacred, and he joined the Serbian 6th Artillery Division. He became a lance sergeant by age 10 and survived the war. The Boy and His Car, 1930s. Little Man's Got Style. Stone on this Italian castle being worn down by 700 years of rainfall dripping off the roof into the exact same spot. Mother and daughter taking a walk in New York City, 1970. An orphaned girl with her baby sibling strapped to her back, standing in the rubble of her hometown during the Korean War, circa 1950s. Bobby Gibb, first woman to run the Boston Marathon In 1966, she ran without a number because women were not allowed into the race. Petre Mshvenyaradze, Tbilisi-born Olympic Soviet water polo player, with his grandson, 1950. Please, God, please, don't let me be normal. Sigourney Weaver's high school yearbook picture, 1967. Moments Before Happiness, 1955. Photograph showing inventor Charles S.L. Baker and his assistant demonstrating heating radiator system, 1906. Men whistle as a woman passes by, 1959. A Jewish Hanukkah menorah defies the Nazi swastika, 1931. During World War II, it wasn't uncommon for soldiers to keep family photos under clear grips on their 1911 pistols. They were called sweetheart grips. Bride, leaving her recently, bombed home. To get married, London, Nov 4, 1940. American troops on board a landing craft heading for the beaches at Oran in Algeria during Operation Torch, November 1942. The real meaning of keep calm and carry on. Bilk Mann, during the London Blitz, 1940. Here's a 1929 Cadillac hearse. Hippie dad walking with his daughter. Amsterdam, 1968. The clothing of the Bronze Age teenager called Egtved girl has been dated to 1370 BC, National Museum of Denmark. Kiss Band with their parents, 1976. Giant groundsels, prehistoric plants found on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. Showgirls playing chess before a show, 1958. A member of the 369th Infantry Regiment, aka Harlem Hellfighters, holds a puppy that he saved during World War I, 1918. Easter eggs for Hitler. 2 African-American GIs pose at Easter time with personalized infantry shells. WW2, 1940s. President Lincoln before and his presidential term. David Isom, 19, broke the color line in a segregated pool in Florida on June 8, 1958, which resulted in officials closing the facility. Brothers Lysenko, all 10 went to the front of the Second World War, and all 10 returned. Couples in a bar, 1959 Pittsburgh. Student's facial expression in a sex class, 1929. Father and son, bonding time, 1980s. A water-damaged edition of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Marina Ginesta, a 17-year-old social activist, journalist, and translator, on the rooftop of the Hotel Colón in Barcelona in 1936. Lawrence Brooks, oldest W-2 veteran aged 110, holding a photo of himself. Learning to ride a bicycle, 1961. Oxford, 1810. Oxford, 2015. An Ojibwe Native American spearfishing, Minnesota, 1908. From 1785 to 1922, White Wolf, also known as Chief John Smith, said to have lived 137 years. No Dog Biscuits Today, London, 1939. Shown as the oldest home in Aveyron, France. It was built sometime in the late 13th century. Not Everyone Likes Bikini, Miami Beach, 1980s. This 16th century plague doctor mask has been preserved and is currently displayed at the German Museum of Medical History. Paris, 1950. John F. Kennedy, on the campaign trail in West Virginia, 1960. Central Park, New York City, 1973. This is Carrie Kirk, a 101-year-old, formerly enslaved woman, attending a literacy class in Cleveland, Ohio, in 1938. New York children, sleeping on the fire, escape to keep cool at night. Early 1900. Russian and American soldiers, 1945. Zuya Hiyaya goes to war, and his daughter, Sikangu, 1905. William Leonard Hunt, aka the Great Farini, a famous showman in Victorian England, posing with Crow, a girl from Laos. Crow was touted as the missing link in the story of evolution. London, 1880s. A dude gets arrested for growing marijuana in the mid-70s. Albert Einstein, wearing flurry slippers in front of his home in Princeton, NJ, circa 1950s. Bushy ladies of the 70s. A teenager at an Elvis Presley concert at the Philadelphia Arena in Philadelphia, PA, April 6, 1957. Milan Cathedral in Italy. The cathedral took nearly 6 centuries to complete. Construction began in 1386, and the final details were completed in 1965. New York City subway system, 1980. A cool bookmobile owned by the new Castle County Free Library. A woman undergoing treatment for mental illness in Germany. She stands in a narrow cell with her arms fixed to the wall, 1890. Stripper in Clearwater, FL, showing the judge that her bikini briefs were too large to expose her vagina to the undercover cops that arrested her. The case was dismissed, 1983. Rolls-Royce homemade street sweeper, 1930s. Lucille Ball at age 21, showing her natural hair color, 1931. Three people pose for a photo whilst wearing face masks during the second wave of the Spanish flu in California, 1918. Princess Diana's iconic revenge dress worn the night Prince Charles publicly admitted to being unfaithful to her, 1994. Evolution of the donut hole through the years, 1927 to 1948. A lady with strings of pearls around her neck and a chiffon scarf around her nose and mouth during the Great Smog in London, 1952, which ended up killing 12,000 people during its 5 days long stay. Lumberjacks posing on and by a felled huge spruce log over 9 meters 30 feet in circumference, Cascade Mountains, Washington, 1905. Chicago, 1957. A couple who moved into an all-white neighborhood looking at graffiti in front of their home. A French woman carrying home her baguette and champagne in Paris, 1945. A weeping George Gillette in 1940, witnessing the forced sale of 155,000 acres of land for the Garrison Dam and Reservoir, dislocating more than 900 Native American families. 1,800-years-old Roman shoes from York, England. Viking combs. The Vikings were very particular about their hair. Chichen Itza, when it was discovered in 1892 versus present day. The sophisticated Victorian fashion in 1887. Vintage tennis photo women smoking cigarettes, 1930s. Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1974, in Melbourne's Bourke Street. Lucille Ball on the day of her wedding to Desi Arnaz, 1940. Oldriev's new tricycle. Photo by Chaz W. Oldriev, 1882. Queens, Queensboro Bridge, aka 59th St. Bridge, under construction, 1905. A women protesting after the Night of Terror, 1917. This method, also known as the Spanish donkey, was used mostly for female criminals. Shrek was actually based off of a real person named Maurice Tillet. He was a French wrestler who married an extremely beautiful woman named Olga. The Mechanical Shark, from Jaws, 1975. A 32-pound rail-mounted Brooke naval rifle used by Robert E. Lee's forces at the Siege of Petersburg in the American Civil War, 1862. Two nurses from the Red Swastika Society, the Chinese equivalent of the Red Cross, Shanghai, China, circa 1935. A captured 13-year-old German soldier drinks coffee aboard a small Allied landing craft, LCI, departing from Normandy to England, July 4, 1944. Sign placed in front of the Memphis Zoo on Negro Day, only day of the week that blacks were allowed to visit, 1959. Edinburgh Castle, 1868. Photograph by George Washington Wilson. One of the rare photographs of a slave ship. This was done by Mark Ferrez in 1882. German father meeting his daughter for the first time since she was 1 year old, after the war had ended, and he'd been incarcerated in Russia, 1956. A mirror selfie in 1920, Japan. (1959) Curtiss Wright model, 2500, air car. Photograph of the Duomo di Milano Cathedral, Milan, Italy, circa early 1900s. Susan Kare, famous Apple artist who designed many of the fonts, icons, and images for Apple, Next, Microsoft, and IBM, 1980s. That's a genuinely happy-looking family, USA, 1959. A Czech immigrant mother and her children. Chicago, Illinois, 1890s. Three lads play to the camera. Jamaica, 1960s. Coney Island, Brooklyn, NY, July 4th, 1949. Irish travelers in southern United States, 1954. First ever drawings of the moon made by Galileo Galilei after observing it through his telescope in 1609. A beggar catches up with the carriage of King George V, London, 1920. A 700-year-old house in Iran. After the Great Fire, Chicago, 1871. Jesse Owens of USA, after winning gold in Summer Olympics, Nazi Germany, 1936. A 1966 Batman water gun. Kids love it. So does Batman. It's fine. Standing over 7 feet tall and weighing a massive 2,600 pounds, Big Jake is currently the world's largest horse. This is why some mail in Lancashire, England, never gets delivered. Young Queen Elizabeth as a mechanic during WW2. The medieval Eltz Castle in Whoremember, Germany has been owned and occupied by the same family for 850 years, 33 generations to be exact. Guardians at the Gateway in Melbourne, Australia. Downtown Los Angeles, photographed in 1901 and again in 2001, exactly 100 years later. Cutlery designed by Salvador Dali, 1957. A woman survivor of the nuclear bombing of Nagasaki, 1945. Michelle and Barack Obama, photographed on their wedding day, 1992. "100-year-old Korolewski lock depicting Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. A horse-drawn cart passes through a section cut out of the base of a giant sequoia at Yosemite Park, CA, circa 1879. The very modest carriage used by Pope Clement IV in the 18th century. An F-18 Super Hornet breaking the sound barrier. Ladies Going Shopping, Los Angeles, 1960. "1970s, girl licking ice cream and playing with the tip of the gun's bayonet to elicit a reaction from a royal guard outside Stockholm Palace, Stockholm, Sweden. An Egyptian axe estimated to be around 3,000 years old. The first Disneyland ticket sold for just $1 in 1955. Stephen Hawking at the beach, 1971. '56. Inter 175A Berlin. The Inter Auto Scooter was a French three-wheeled microcar. This 100-old photos show history from the other side. A sharply dressed Al Capone and the Fellas, 1930s. Venice canals being drained and cleaned, 1956. Always thought this one was a little eerie. Immigrants detained at Ellis Island dancing, 1905. Bygone workers. Whitechapel High Street, 1930. (1920s). Ruth Disney seen standing with her big brother Walt, 1906. Postman sitting on basket carrier tricycle, England, 1934. This is an 1892 photo of a hot potato vendor on the streets of Manhattan. These potatoes were also known as Mickeys, and, besides providing a quick snack, they were often carried in pockets and used as hand warmers on cold winter days. A photographer and his assistant attempt to get the perfect shot of the Grand Canyon. Arizona, USA, 1908. Soldier coming home to his daughter after World War II, 1945. A mother and daughter goofing around for the camera, the early 1900s. Family in front of a farmhouse, Nebraska, 1888. Indian woman carrying British man on her back, 1900. Women on a train. Photo by Boris Lipnitsky, 1934. Moose in the Yukon, August 11th, 1907, Wolf. Photo Dawson, YT. A group of smiling Victorian boys, taken 1898. My Grandfather with His Horse, Boston, CA, 1920s. Women working on the tarring and flinting of Oxford Street, 1919. Charging an electric car back in 1905. In 1839, Robert Cornelius sat for 15 minutes in front of a hand-built camera made of opera glass and sheets of copper. His picture became the first selfie ever taken. John Belushi, Carrie Fisher, and Dan Aykroyd on the set of The Blues Brothers, 1980. Roadside camping, with a great auto tent, 1920. Mary Smith, a knocker-upper, who earned 6 pence a week shooting dried peas at windows to wake people for work, East London, 1930s. The Harley-Davidson tent. A family going on the summer holiday in a Fiat 500, Italy, 1967. Charging a Cuyahoga electric car in 1910. Miss Mary McCandlish, 1840s. The Sound of Music, the riveting true story of Maria von Trapp. Roy Campanella, Saying Goodbye to Ebbets Field, Brooklyn, Feb 23, 1960. Boys playing with bows and arrows near railroad yards, Dubuque, Iowa. Hunger is the Best Cook, by Myra Albert Wiggins, 1898. In the late 1930s, nestled in the heart of Goshen, Indiana, lived a young married couple, Evelyn and James. Be thankful for what you have. Be thankful for one another. New York tenement, photographed in 1910. The Great London Smog of 1952. Mr. and Mrs. Peter Bogan are standing with their children by the wagon. A group of elegantly dressed individuals gather beneath a street lamp on a foggy evening. 1887. Youngsters from St. Margaret Day Nursery at Battersea are taken out in a basket on a pram during the bus strike, 1937. In the heart of Ashbury, a team of elephants stands proudly amidst the rubble of a post-disaster scene. Their massive frames dwarf the workers as they assist in clearing the destruction left in the wake of a great fire. 1924. A German 88 mm Pak 4341 anti-tank gun emplaced on a bandstand to cover the approach to the town in Newland, Netherlands, in November 1944. Girls' high school basketball team, circa 1910. Two Ainu women with lip tattoos, Japan, 1890. Photo by Tomoto Kenzo. Margaret and Mary Gibb were Siamese twins born in 1912. In 1966, it was discovered that Margaret had cancer in her bladder, which, over the next year, spread to her lungs. However, the sisters still adamantly refused separation. On August 29, 1967, Margaret died, and Mary died 2 minutes later. Girl having her tire changed, Southeast Washington, 1942. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates having a chat over the future of computers, circa 1991. A lady from high society, Ottoman Empire, 1900s. Children living in the river bottoms, Shacktown in Dubuque, Iowa, 1940. Third of Elau, view down Pearl to 100 Maiden Lane from Fulton Street Station, which operated 1878-1950. Photo by Evelyn Hofer. Teenage Sisters, Gertrude and Ursula Falk, Germany, 1906. Central Park, 1933. Daffodil Field, Automobile, and Mount Rainier, by Marvin D. Boland, 1929. Einstein at the age of 3 in 1882. A Quintessential English Summer, Pier Road, Whitby, 1920. Young woman removing her loaf of bread from the oven, 1909. Just Like Daddy. A couple touring balanced rock in the Garden of the Gods, Colorado Springs, 1920. The year is 1905 on Fifth Avenue, New York. A view from the slums of Cumberland Street, Dublin, Ireland, in 1940s. Photo by Paul Popp. Oklahoma residents during the Dust Bowl migration. New York Times photo, 1935. Teens socialize and play cards next to a fire pit in a conversation pit. Two Armenian women pose with their rifles before going to battle against the Ottomans, 1895. A father helping his son feed a giraffe at London Zoo. May 1922, 78-year-old Robert T. Lincoln, son of Abraham Lincoln, is helped up the steps at the dedication of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Couples on a picnic in the late 1800s or early 1900s. A skateboarder zipping through Central Park in the 1960s. A woman and her baby waiting for their train at Penn Station in New York City, 1942. (1941) Chicago's South Side, in their Sunday best. A massive crowd of soldiers fills the deck of a ship as they prepare to return home after World War I, 1919. Aug. 21, 1959, somewhere in New Zealand. Two women with four small children in a pushchair on a city street, probably Wellington. Two women stand on the edge of a crumbling wall, watching as a small airplane flies overhead. 1927. Ladies archery in Regent's Park. A solitary worker stands on a narrow platform suspended high above the bustling city streets. 1932. W. Melkbert, American, 20th century, Mexico, circa 1910. Saying Goodbye to Daddy, World War II. Gorgeous wartime couple, 1940s. A man delivering ice in the old days when there were no refrigerators, 1930s. A lady feeding a homeless cat during World War II, Paris. Tatars, wedding photo, September 24th, 1917. A beautiful lady driver in 1970. Aerial photo of the enormous Hughes H-4 Hercules wooden aircraft being built. Playa Vista, California, February 1947. One of the oldest person to have been photographed in 1840-1850. An immigrant family looking at Manhattan from the dock at Ellis Island, August 13th, 1925. Bruce Lee and his wife, Linda. Aerial view of London, England, overlooking Westminster, Middlesex, Lambeth and Southwark, Surrey, 1909. New York City after a snowstorm in 1888. Aircraft detection device before radar, Bowling Field, USA, 1921. Mother with her daughter in 1880. (1827) opened in a rented pastry shop at 23 William Street. Mexican federal soldier, pro-government, rests beside a woman who kisses him while with her right hand grabs the barrel of his rifle. Chihuahua, Mexico, 1912. British athlete Ivy Russell wrestles a man to Trin for her upcoming championship fight against Peggy Parnell, September 12, 1934, at Lane's Club on Baker Street, London. Len Bias versus Michael Jordan at basketball camp in 1980. A young Ivis with his parents, 1937. Mayan women in the Yucatan Peninsula around 1952. The dress is called the Mayan huipil. Two U.S. Navy, Douglas SBD-5, Dauntless bombers of bombing. Squadron 6, VB-6, fly over the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise, CV-6, on November 12, 1943. Jeep mounted with a Browning M1919 machine gun, somewhere in the Pacific, CA 1944. The wreck in the background is a Japanese Type 95 Heigo light tank. You've probably seen photos of these iconic moments in our history, but have you seen them from this perspective? Behind the scenes of The Shining in 1978, Jack Nicholson was far from the tranquil, isolated hotel portrayed in Stanley Kubrick's chilling classic. Sharecropper home near Charleston, South Carolina, 1938. Acrobats, balance on top of the Empire State Building, 1934. The photographer was taking a photo above Fifth Avenue, looking north. New York City, 1905. Medieval alleys of Pals, a beautiful medieval village in the Catalonian province of Girona in Spain. A man, a woman, and two children standing in front of a log home. Utah State Historical Society, Green River, Utah, circa 1890. People gathered on Nieuwezijd's Armsteeg, a small street in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Photograph taken in August 1916. U.S. sailors at the Great Lakes Naval Training Station, standing behind rolled-out sea bags and awaiting inspection, 1940. Photo by Bernard Hoffman for Life magazine. A selection on Augustus Sherman's photographs of immigrants passing through Ellis Island on their way to new lives in the United States. A Ford Model A. Pickup waits for a train to pass at a railroad crossing, 1930. Three Sisters, 1926. Portrait by James Van der Zee. Joseph Inui's 8-cylinder, 48-shot percussion revolver, dated 1855. Raveling medicine salesman in Oklahoma, 1895. Photograph of Tennessee Highway number 71 in Gatlinburg. The Smoky Mountain Service Station is on the left, and people are walking on the side of the road. Gatlinburg, Tennessee, July 14, 1938. Elizabeth Taylor, here with her brother, Howard Taylor, in 1937. At Times Square in Manhattan, December 1912. Traffic officer operating a mechanical traffic signal, Philadelphia, 1922. A young soldier and his mother right before he left for World War I in 1917. Men waiting in a line for the possibility of a job during the Great Depression. Fashions change, but fashion itself lives on. 1910. One of the last photos of Charlie Chaplin, taken in 1977. Yellow shirt, Lakota, by the notable F.A. Reinhardt, 1899. Tall in the side saddle. Nurses showing a set of newly born triplets to their happy father. New York, 1946. Typewriter service. 1959, a street in Istanbul where people can go to have documents typed up while they wait. Photo by Bruch Fox. Photos, Getty Images. Frozen, Niagara Falls, 1911. Benny's Grocery, Sylvania, Georgia, 1939. Photo by Marion Post Wolcott. Which of these weird historical photos surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed uncovering these odd moments from the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with friends. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.